Imagine asking your spectator to guess which apartment number you live at, anywhere from 1 to 1,000, and there's no way that they can know. And once the number is written down and memorized, you reach cleanly into your pocket and you produce your keys. And on your keys is a fob, and on the fob is the exact number that they said. Any number from 1 to 1,000 on your keychain, and it doesn't just have to be numbers. It can be words, it can be names, it can be the name of your pet, it can be phone numbers, addresses, star signs, anything that you can think of can appear on your keys. This is Any Thought to Keychain, otherwise known as Key Idea. To perform Key Idea, you are going to need a Sharpie, a notepad, and of course, your keys, which in my case are in my pockets. These actually aren't my keys. I'm not gonna show my real ones on camera, so I've just got an example blank key right here, Keymaster by Craig Petty actually, and then this. This is the most important thing you are going to need. This is a plastic little key fob, super simple little tag thing. You can buy them in bulk on Amazon. If you want to, you can swap your regular Sharpie for one of these little mini keychain Sharpies, and then you've got the entire trick on your keys, ready to go at a moment's notice. For the purposes of this video, I'm gonna stick with my regular Sharpie. Now, my favorite presentation of this trick is the apartment number variation. So I ask my spectator to guess which apartment I live at, but I give them a clue. It is somewhere between 1 and 1,000. Which obviously doesn't really narrow it down, and they guess any number from 1 to 1,000. In my opinion, it's also the most logical version of this trick, because what else would you have in one of these if not your address, right? So in my case, it is my apartment number. If you want to, if you're performing abroad or you're performing on holiday, you can swap this to be your hotel number, but the same routine kind of applies. You ask them to guess from 1 to 1,000 what it is, and they are correct every single time. The question, of course, is how does this in your pocket match what they say? And the secret is you don't just have one key fob. You are going to have hundreds of key fobs. You can organize these if you want to, but personally I like to just sort of stuff a few into each pocket. So these can go in here. So now all I need to do is just remember which numbers are in which pocket. So they say, you know, 556, and for instance, I know the 500s are in here, so I pull out, you know, the correct one. That's not fooling anyone, is it? So yeah, I am joking. You only need one of these, and you are gonna have this with you at all times. It is not an index kind of situation. There is literally just the one. Before I get into explaining actually how to do the trick, there are a couple of things about this setup which make the trick easier to perform. The first one, you will notice straight away, this is a really minimal setup. I have got one key and the fob, and that is it. There are no extra keys, there are no extra fobs or tags or anything on here. It is just one key and a super small keyring. This is one of the tiny keyrings that comes with the fobs when you buy them off Amazon, right? I'm not going for a big keyring. I want this to be really, really small and really, really compact. And there's a very important reason for that, which we'll come to later. The key, no pun intended, to this trick actually lies in the pad and paper and the Sharpie that are going to be in play during this. And the best way of utilizing these is if they are used in other tricks. So don't just bring these out to perform the key trick, make sure that these have been in play in front of your audience for quite some time. If you're doing a card trick, maybe you're writing down some cards. If you're doing other mentalism tricks, you're writing stuff, you're drawing stuff, have the audience get used to the idea that this is a normal prop. Because it is. So you don't want the audience to be suspicious of these props. Except the keys are actually not in my pocket. The keys are in the notepad. So when I'm performing this trick, this is the setup that I have. If I change the camera angle, you'll get a better look at this. So for example, let's say the number is 567. I am going to write down my number, 567, and I'm also going to write it onto the keys. Now the good thing is, this is actually much quieter than this, so they will hear the scratchiness of the paper, of the Sharpie on the paper, but then this is actually really, really quiet. And as soon as it's on there, it's dry. This now cannot rub off, so I'm not going to smudge that. There's nothing that's going to take that away. And this is the entire key setup, which is why it is really, really important that you have a minimal key setup. The more things that are on here, the more keys that are on here, the bulkier this will be, and also the noisier it'll be when you eventually load this into your pocket, which is what I'm going to do in a second. But first, I can recap the pen, and I'm being very fluid about this. I'm not worrying about, anything dropping. It's important to note my thumb is on the sort of anchor point of the key ring. I am not, doing it this way around because then, the key could sort of swing free and it could be over here. So I'm making sure that it is right here. It is pinned in place. So I've recapped the pen, and at this point I can go to tear this page off, and look, I can just tear it straight off, and this just stays where it is. So I can give that to the spectator, and if I want, this entire thing can go into my pocket, and then obviously I'll just dump the keys in my pocket. Or another version is I can get these into finger palm, so then I can just place that down, and I have the keys in my palm right here. So then I can go into my pocket and, it's very, very natural. What you're doing here is known as double writing. Yes, you are writing it on the pad, and that is your main justification. You give this to the spectator so they can remember the number, and then again, maybe you go into another trick, which even further justifies why you've written it down because you're doing something else, and, this kind of seems irrelevant, it kind of seems meaningless, and then you go back to it, you recall back to it. Do you remember when you guessed this? Well, this wasn't just a mental exercise, this was actually a trick, and then you retrieve it. But I'll give you a closer look at how I actually load it into my pocket. So everything's pinned into place, and all I'm doing is I'm just there's no technique to this, I'm just sliding it into a finger palm. I'm placing this down very casually, and I'm holding this for a few seconds. One thing you can do with the keys in finger palm is you can sort of dip into your pocket, and I've already loaded it in there. I've just kind of chucked it in, and because it's such a minimal key setup, there's not really going to be any noise, so they're not going to hear that. So now it's in there. It's almost like my hands never even went in the pocket. They were just here, and then I can go in very cleanly, and I can say, look, I've got this fob right here, and you guessed my apartment was 567, there it is. So everything's at the fingertips, and it feels too fair, if anything. Another variation you can do if you're sat down involves the table edge. Everything is pinned into position here, and I get a break under one page. So now I tear this off, still in position over here, and this just dips to the edge of the table. And now it's just dropped into my lap. The keys have dropped into my lap. I don't have them anymore. So this can go on the table, the page can go on the table, and now I'm really, really, truly free. Maybe I go into something else, but eventually this hand just drops into my lap. I collect those keys, I now have them in finger palm, and I go to my pocket as if I'm retrieving something. So a moment ago, they saw my hands empty, and then they're seeing me go to the pocket. Of course, along the way, it's just dropped into the lap and collected the loaded keys. So that's a really, really nice variation, and there's not much technique to this. Again, all I'm doing, once it's met the edge of the table, is I'm just dropping them and making sure that they don't go straight through my legs, that they are caught into my lap. And I'm totally clean. But like I said, this can be used for so many different tricks. It does not have to be an apartment number or a hotel number. To me, that makes the most sense of something you'd have on your keys, but maybe you just want to make this random. You just say, hey, I've got a random word written on a little tag on my keys. Can you guess what that word is? Can you, try and connect with the word, the lucky word, or whatever it is that I have on my keys? Or maybe you've got a playing card, or a date, or anything, an address, a phone number. It can be a long phone number if you want to. If you've got the space and the skills to be able to write that, it can be your phone number. Anything is possible with this. It really can truly be any thought to keychain. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit the thumbs up button down below and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me. I do anything and everything to do with magic, so if that sounds like fun, make sure to subscribe. And I also run a membership called the Magician Club. More than 1,000 magicians have been members of the Magician Club at some point, which is a fact that totally blows my mind, but it's true. And you can join the Magician Club for just $15 a month. And for that, you get the keys to a library of magic, a warehouse of magic, more than 130 tutorials, items, masterclasses, lectures, projects, more than 24 hours of video material teaching stuff that will level up your repertoire. Whether you're a hobbyist, a professional, intermediate, beginner, there is something for everyone on here. So make sure to go and check it out at themagician.club and you can sign up today. I really, truly want it to be the best membership in Magic, and I know I'm super biased, but I think we're getting there. So make sure to go and check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.